The story begins when one of the employees on the Chen family headquarters was fired. He didn't understand why the director was doing this to him. After all, he had been working hard and working overtime for 3 months in a row. Just recently the director promised a promotion, and now all of a sudden he fires him. What's the big deal? Because he was fired without notice, he was entitled to compensation, but the director told him that he would not be paid anything because he signed the document himself. He remembered that not long ago the director had given him a document to sign and it turned out to be a fake document. The main character was furious and wanted to teach him a lesson, but he had no clear evidence. At this point the principal smirked and said, "How irritable you are," and we were hit hard. The one flew away a few meters. See? This is the power of Reiki, which can only be used by the highest members of society like me. Suddenly he stood up and answered him, "One day I will be the head of the Long Chen family, the richest man in the country, no, in the whole world. When the time comes." He promised that he would come back and buy this company and he would fire him first. At this time an elevator came to their floor. All the employees immediately knew who it was and met her with high honor. A charming girl came out of the elevator and said, "You can fire him right now." Her name was young Miss Chen, Chen Mo. The employee was discussing her. She was very beautiful and was the daughter of the richest person in the Long Chen family. The recently fired employee didn't understand what was going on. Did she come here for him? Jeanine bowed to her and said, "Miss Chen, why didn't you warn me about your visit?" She walked up to him and replied, "Didn't you hear that? I told you to get out of here." He stood puzzled, "But why?" Miss Chen replied that he defamed the honor of the future son-in-law of the Chen family, who is her future fiancé. He walked up to the dismissed employee and said, "Lin Chu, our last breakup was a mistake. We can arrange a wedding whenever you want." Lin Chu asked her, "Does she still love him?" "No, but I want your body." After the wedding came the wedding night, but Lin Chu was in no mood, after being fired from his job a week ago, and a few days later he became the son-in-law of the Chen family. Besides, he hadn't seen Miss Chen for 3 whole years and then she shows up in his life again. He hoped she was joking when she said she wanted his body. At this time she walks into the room in her wedding dress. She was very beautiful. He walked over to Chen Mo and told her not to worry, he will love her and take care of her. She asked him to close his eyes as she had a surprise for him. He closed his eyes and hoped she would kiss him, but she told him to take this money and get out of here. Lin didn't understand what was going on here. Weren't they going to get married? She said it was all a show and tell him to stay away from her, and as compensation, she offered him 100,000 for a month's stay. But he said he didn't need that and suggested she clarify something, because she came to be reunited with him. Suddenly she struck the strongest blow and told him not to pretend, because in this life she hates the men who cheat the most. He didn't understand what she was talking about. What kind of cheating were we talking about? She never answered his question and he went home. On the way he thought that it was not for nothing, but why did she leave him the first time? After all, he hadn't done anything. When he went to his apartment, he saw some girl sitting on the sofa. He stood there in a stupor of incomprehension. She said to him, "Oh my darling, my love, I finally found you." He asked her who she was and how did she get here. She had been his mistress in a previous life and now she had come to repay her debt. But what debt? What are you talking about? Has she lost her mind? What mistress from a previous life? She came up to him and said, "Isn't today our wedding? Of course we're going to have a wedding night." He was frightened by this situation and wanted to run out of his apartment, but she teleported to the door and closed it with her hand and told him not to hurry. And did he really forget that in a previous life they often practiced couples cultivation? Lin Chu was greatly frightened, but suddenly she kissed him and everything in the room glowed bright blue. At that moment he felt something strange inside him. Have I already died? His soul disconnected from his body, and went somewhere in the sky. He thought he was in heaven. Suddenly he felt that his soul was about to explode, and so it did, but the pieces of his soul connected to other souls and they started to record all their memories. Among them were doctors, lawyers, artists, and many other soul pieces recording all their memories. At this time Lin Chu was lying unconscious and his mistress smiled sweetly. Ling Chu's soul shards had recorded the memory of 9,999 people and returned to his soul form. He could believe it, that he now had access to the memory of a huge number of people and now he knew about everything. A month later, Lin Chu's funeral was taking place, friends and acquaintances were saying goodbye to him. But at that moment, a purple ray hit Li's body and Chun-Li was reborn. Some people at the funeral thought it was a zombie, but the head of the Chen family asked them to be quiet. He walked up to him and said, "Young son-in-law, I was convinced to the end that you would wake up sooner or later." Chun-Li decided that they all must not find out that his soul had left his body and walked through the memories of several thousand people. He told them that the first thing he wanted to do was sleep. The head of the Chen family asked the maid to escort Chun-Li to his room. He thought, so does he really have the legendary resurrection power? I never thought that heaven would be so generous. Miss Chen, is my wedding just another bargain for you? As he sat at the table he realized that thanks to other people's memories he could see the world from a different perspective and now he could instantly get information about anything and know what the person really thought of him. At this time the servants were standing outside the door ready to serve him. One of them brought him food, to replenish his strength. He ate very quickly, for he was very hungry. The maid thought, doesn't the mistress have such bad taste, why did she marry someone like him? Chun-Li analyzed her and he understood what she was thinking and answered her, you know, I also wonder why Chen Imo decided to marry me. She stood puzzled, how did he know what she was thinking? Unexpectedly, a venerable old man arrived to visit them. The head of the family told him that his son-in-law was sitting at the table. The maid poured Chun-Li wine and asked him to dye his ardor, but he thought, how can he stop his hunger? Had she tried not eating for a month? Chun-Li said to her, okay, then feed me. The servant said, I obey, sir. Suddenly the old man walked up to Chun-Li and grabbed his hand. He felt his terrifying aura. He asked the old man, what was the matter? The old man replied apologizing for his abruptness. He then approached the head of the family asking if Chun-Li had any abnormalities on the day of the wedding. He replied that after the wedding, Chun-Li was in a coma for a month. Chun-Li wondered what they were whispering about and decided to overhear their conversation. The old man was talking about unchanging energy. Someone had instilled a lot of spiritual energy into his body, destroying his perfect compatibility with Hugen Dan. The head of the family asked him, how could this be fixed? And how much would it affect their initial plan? He replied that he had the potential to one day become a great cultivator, but with his aura destroying the meridians in his body, he wouldn't even be able to master the simplest cultivation techniques, let alone advanced techniques. So they only forced Chen Imo to marry me because of their ulterior motives. Is that what she meant when she said she wanted my body? Suddenly, the head of the family exclaimed angrily, aren't you ashamed of eating my food, and threw that table where Chun-Li was sitting. He grabbed Chun-Li by the scruff of his neck and called him an impudent cheater and threatened to kill him. But Chun-Li grabbed his arm as the souls of murderers, boxers, and villains began to manifest in his aura. He replied to him, didn't you originally make Chen Imo trick me to get himself the Hugen Dan ability? So you knew about your potential. How did you manage to become such a brat? I don't know why, but I lost my potential on my wedding night, maybe because he stopped being a boy. Bullshit. Where did you dig up such a stipulation that you have to be a boy to cultivate? Besides, we are all aware that Chen Imo dumped you on your wedding night. Our family doesn't need scum like you. Chun-Li was about to leave, but he wanted to talk to Chen Imo afterwards, but no one would agree to do so. Suddenly he activated his hypnosis skill and told the servant to call Chen Imo here. He wanted to clarify something before he left. Was it only because of his hidden potential that they asked Chen Imo to marry him? Of course. And now you're no better than scum. Is this Hugen Dan so important to you, even if you have to sacrifice your daughter's happiness? Yes, because I've been trying to master the basic techniques for years, but I haven't mastered even the basic part in my entire life, so I've been experimenting with pills for years, but that doesn't yield any results either. They were on a long journey, and noticed Chun-Li's aura. but his Hugin Dan was weak and didn't give much effect alone, but its effect was simply devastating when paired cultivation. If Chen Imo hadn't done that stupid thing, you both would have become stronger over your wedding night. Paired cultivation. I think I'm missing something. Now that he's become useless to them, his people will get rid of him. Chun-Li said he is still Ching Mo's husband, and why doesn't he think about her feelings before he gets killed? Shut your mouth, finding another husband for her won't be difficult. But before he left, Chun-Lu wanted to ask one last question, if he hadn't set him up with Cheng Imo. What are you saying? I just remember that Chen Imo said that you were partying with other women in a hotel. Chun-Li didn't understand, what other women, who could set him up so sneakily. He got angry, and asked for strength from the strongest boxer in the world, against a shadow. But because of the weakness of his body, these memories of strong men are useless. At this moment, Chen Imo walked into the room, and ordered him to stop. He knew that she would not refuse him, but she told him, back off. He was shocked by the situation. The head of the family was proud of his daughter. He ordered the guards to get rid of Chun-Li. But Cheng Imo said, even if he's a scum, he's still my husband, why should we get rid of him? Our family doesn't need such useless people, I'll find you a new husband soon. Do you want to waste a lot of time trying to find me a partner for couples cultivation? I'd rather keep him, because it's no different than sheltering a dog. Sometimes men are a lot like dogs, at least dogs don't lie, do they? The head of the family told her, do what you want. Chen Imo and Chun-Li went to her room. He said to him, thanks to you asking to call me, I was able to speak to my father, so you can stay here. Chun-Li, you are a very conniving person. What are you talking about? I just wanted to avoid a misunderstanding about our wedding. She got mad at him. He got scared and asked why she activated her spiritual power. Cheng Imo came up to him and told him not to pretend. She knew he was a sly one. Do you have something to say? Don't come any closer. Tell me, on your wedding night, what really happened to you? If you don't want to tell me, just tilt your head down. Calm down, I'll tell you everything, but at this point my memories won't help me get out of this situation. But he decided to tell a little about what happened to him that day. When I came home I met a strange white-haired girl there. She said I was her lover from a past life. She poured a large amount of aura into him and he passed out. A white-haired girl? I'm not surprised a scum like you had lovers. But I don't know who she is or why she did it. Anyway, why do you keep calling me scum? What have I done to you? She told him that 3 years ago, at the hotel, she saw him partying with 4 escorts, and what has he done over the years besides partying with girls? Maybe learn a new language? What are you talking about? I didn't just cheat on you, my foot wasn't even in the hotel. You're a liar. I saw it with my own eyes. At this point a servant comes into the laundry room with a big pile of dirty clothes and tells him that from this day forward, he will be in charge of all the housekeeping. If he is not happy with anything, he can piss off. Okay, I'll do it, thanks to my memories, I'll crush them with my housekeeping skills. Damn, how hard is it to wash clothes? All of a sudden a whole truckload of dirty clothes came up to him and unloaded all the clothes on him. There was a servant standing next to him and she said he was doing it pretty fast, so she decided to bring in more clothes. After he got his clothes cut he went to the kitchen. The servant told him that he was cutting too finely. After a while Chun-Li was furious. Why are there so many dirty clothes in this house? Walking down the hallway he overheard a family conversation in which the head of the family said, "What have you been thinking about lately? Our casino in Las Vegas is down 10 million because of counterfeit money. You personally recommended the manager at the casino." Cheng Imo admitted her mistake and said she would figure it out on her own, since he wouldn't just leave those who had infringed on their family. The head of the family asked, "You? What can you do? Do you think 10 million will fall from the sky for you?" Chun-Li stood outside the door and thought, counterfeit bills. Loading the memory of a counterfeit expert. He threw away his dirty clothes and exclaimed, "Why am I wasting my time here? After all, there are plenty of ways to make money cash through counterfeit money. He won't be able to achieve anything with such a weak body, but he has a temporary solution to use the Chen family for his dirty business. A little later he went to one of the banned websites and ordered a money printing machine there. He decided to create himself an alternative ego, in order to keep his true identity a secret. I think it's time to use the knowledge of a legendary makeup artist, time to max out. After an hour, he came out with a completely different personality that was unrecognizable, and he went to pick up the money printing machine. Coming to the place, there was a bald man in a red jacket. Chun-Li told him that he had come to pick up his printing press. He replied to him that it was inside, you can look around. The printing press was in excellent condition. The man reminded him of the contract and demanded $5 million, but Chun-Li grinned at him and said he only took $100. He grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and said, "Are you kidding me? Why the hell did he come here if he doesn't have any money?" At that moment, Chun-Li took out a $100 bill and said it wasn't an ordinary bill, it was made by him personally. He took it in his hands and said, "It's unbelievable, how could you create such a high-quality bill? The fake bills you created leave a lot to be desired, and it wouldn't be the slightest bit difficult to distinguish them from the originals." "You're right, and what do you suggest?" 2 hours is all I need." "Alright, let's see what you can do." Chun-Li had worked all night to improve the quality of the money. He had selected the right paper and ink, and in the morning he woke up the man and said it was ready. There were $5 million on the table. He couldn't believe it. How was it possible to print so much in one night? Besides, the bills were of the highest quality. What? They were no different from real money. "Master, may I ask your name?" "My friend, you can call me Master Wei." After a while, the underground organization got hold of the money printed by Chun-Li. They were dissatisfied with the new competitor because the quality of his money was indistinguishable. "Do you remember that Yin Chao?" "Yes, I remember. He went broke a long time ago after we crushed his business. But yesterday I witnessed him making a deal with a certain Master Wei. He's the originator of that money. What are you waiting for? Go and offer him a job, money is no problem." "I already tried, but he refused." "And why is that?" To work for you." "But combining work and personal life is problematic, but I'm willing to work with you on equal terms." They weren't satisfied with his terms and they tortured him. While he was analyzing the place where they brought him, from the turns he assumed that he was now on the outskirts of the city. "So you're the guy, right? Tell me your name." Combined with the soil analysis, I may be in an abandoned workshop. "Hey, I'm talking to you, what's your name?" "My name is Wei Ching Mo." "This is your work, isn't it? I hope you'll work for us." "I told you, I don't work for other people, I'm only willing to cooperate as equals." He grabbed Chun-Li by the shirts and said, "Does he realize the position he's in now? They can kill him right now and no one will know. But if they kill him, they will lose more than just a partner, they will lose the opportunity to realize their deepest dreams." "You're telling me a fairy tale?" At that moment, Chun-Li activated the speaker's memory. "One day, I want to make sure that one day there will be no more counterfeit banknotes in this world, and it will be because people all over the world will use counterfeit banknotes made personally by me. I have the technology and you have the equipment and connections. If we cooperate, I promise to produce 100 million counterfeit yuan every day." "Really? Can you really produce that much?" "Naturally. However, I'll demand 51% of the income, along with 10 million. You must give me real money to make the operation a success." "Are you crazy? How can it be called a partnership if in fact they will be working for him?" "We can make an agreement if you let us participate in the production process, how's that?" Both sides were in agreement and shook hands. However, the two of them had different plans. The bandits planned to acquire his skills and kill him, while Chun-Li wanted to get the 10 million from them and get rid of them. Next he went home. Ching Mo was sitting there. He was thinking how she could get the 10 million quickly. At that moment the same employee she fired for Chun-Li came up to her. He came up to her and offered to help her. "No thanks, I just recently fired you from headquarters, don't you hate me?" "Me? Hate you? No, it's a misunderstanding. The only reason I joined the Shin group is because of you. Although our Jin family isn't as rich as your Chen family, it's also famous and rich. 10 million is what I can easily give you. That is, until you divorced that bastard Chun-Li. After all, let's not forget what he did at the Dorset Hotel in Longhao. How dare he call me a bastard in front of me? And how does he know about the hotel? Could he have anything to do with it? A simpleton who thinks he owns the planet. I don't need your help. Suddenly Chun-Li threw a rag at him and told him to leave the house because he stinks. Maybe it will fall from the sky and end up right in front of us. The money will fall from the sky. Are you crazy? Suddenly a red suitcase flew into him. On Mr. Wei's orders, 10 million has been sent to Mrs. Cheng Yimo. Mr. Wei. Who is this? Why would he send me so much money? Mr. Wei said the 10 million was sent to win your trust. If you want to see him, go to room 1766 of the Dorset Hotel tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock and he'll be there. Why did this Mr. Wei specifically ask to meet in this room? I think he certainly had something to do with it. The next day, Chen Yimo arrived at the very hotel. She was wearing a beautiful blue dress and looked incredible. But Jean was following her. He was jealous of her, so he wanted to see what would happen. She went up to the 20th floor and came to the same room. She went in and saw Chun-Li cheating on her with some girls again. Chen Yimo was furious with him, but at that moment, the TV turned on, where Wei was the one who said it was a misunderstanding. But it was too late. She activated her aura power and ripped the girl's clothes. The guy who was lying on the bed said that he wasn't Chun-Li. Wei said if not the South Korean transfiguration technique, Miss Cheng Yimo, the person you encountered 3 years ago in this very hotel room was not Chun-Li, but an imposter. The person who orchestrated this situation intended to destroy her relationship with Chun-Li. She wondered if she really had treated Chun-Li fairly all these years. She didn't even know. So are you Mr. Wei? Why are you telling me this, and for what purpose did you send me the money? Chun-Li couldn't reveal his real identity, so he had to improvise. Because if it wasn't for Chun-Li I wouldn't be alive right now. Even though he doesn't know me, I thought that telling the truth was the best way to pay off my debts. Then, Mr. Wei, do you have any idea who framed Chun-Li 3 years ago? At that moment, Jean entered the room and said, I demand to see Mr. Wei. The culprit was none other than Mr. Jin Yingham, who entered at a rather unfortunate time. I don't care who you are, but listen to me carefully. Chen Yimo is my woman, and I will not stand by and let her sway Xiais for bribes. Your woman? You seem to have forgotten that she is now married. No, how could you forget? You were the one who caused their breakup in the first place. At this time, one of the escorts remembered Jean and told him why he hadn't contacted them in such a long time. But I don't know who you are. Don't be a joker, you were a VIP 3 years ago. Luckily, I hacked into the management system archives and found the people who were with him 3 years ago. Now he won't be able to lie. Mr. Wei, please give me your contact information so I can send you back 10 million. But that's not necessary, just treat your husband more kindly. The sun has set, it's time to become Mr. Wei again and meet my business partners. But at this moment, Chen Yimo came up to Chun-Li and said, Where are you going, dear? Just going to my bedroom in the warehouse. How pointless, from now on you'll be sleeping in the same room as me.